What can hotels do to ensure maximum occupancy during the World Cup 2026? And I have my points written over here, so I'll go through them one by one, and then maybe I would want to detail out a few things. So the first thing that you should be doing and you can be doing is dedicating a landing page. Create a landing page for why travelers should choose your property when they are coming and staying in your city, wanting to go see the matches in the stadium near your property. So essentially, it is like you are creating a product which is a landing page, which has all the USPs which you want to project to the outer traveling world, that why they should come and stay with you. So have that landing page done first. And just to give you an example, the kind of information which can be there on the landing page, apart from the regular ones, what kind of rooms you have, the amenities and stuff like that. And one point which I was thinking is, how can one go from your property to the stadium by various transportation mechanisms? Like for example, you give detailed plan on how one can use public transport, one can hire cars, one can take shared buses or whatever. You know your property, you know how the locality works, you know from your property if one has to go to the stadium during which the matches would be happening. So you can get all those information and ensure that all those things are written. That would be crucial if you want to put out holistic information which is caught by LLMs and these AI search engines. Not only are you putting in the most relevant, helpful content, you are also ensuring it that it's chunkable in terms of these are the 5 reasons why you should stay with us, the property, when you're visiting, say, for example, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Texas, and likewise for any other city. So that will help the user to understand your USP quicker. That's user experience part of things. The moment you have this sort of a landing page, which is the product, you can actually start marketing it. And that is where point number 2 comes in. That is creating an extremely special offer for the World Cup. I had given an example of a special offer which can be newsworthy, so that digital PR is something which you get, like it's an earned PR rather than you trying to go out to publications and asking them that, hey, can you please cover this? So if you want, you can always go ahead and check this video, the other one which I had done. But just to give you a short version of what we were discussing is, when you're designing a product, think of why football fans from across the world would be coming over to USA. What is it that you want to give back in terms of a memory that can get created for these travelers who are coming here? You can think of what kind of souvenirs football fans love. You think of the scarf. Whenever someone enters your hotel who booked, you give them the scarf with which they can cheer their team. And again, you can check that video. I'll have a link in the description. This is part 2 of what you can do, and as an actionable step, having a very customized offer just for FIFA 2026. Next being, and before I go to the point, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine there are these global travelers who are coming to your city, to your backyard. Now, forget about your hotel, your business, revenue, and just start thinking yourself as a global citizen who is hosting other global citizens in your home backyard. What are the things that you would want them to experience so that when they go back home, they talk about that experience? Think of, if there's a great food joint, get in collaboration with the food joint, figure out how to ensure that whenever people staying at your property, they go and make a visit to the food joint. If you have a F&B outlet yourself, figure out how you can plug this with respect to the top things you need to do as a traveler if you want to experience whichever city you are based out of, Dallas, Arlington, Grapevine, whatever, Fort Worth. So that's point 2. And point 3, right? Figure out how to give that experience and collaborating with different brands who would be part of this experience. If there's a local museum which you feel everyone should visit and they are ever coming to your city, get something going with that local museum. Next, the third point which I wanted to talk about was having detailed itineraries for the various kinds of guests who would be traveling from across the world to USA, Canada, Mexico to see this Kala event, the biggest event of the world, that is World Cup 2026. This is also the biggest in terms of the number of teams which are participating in the World Cup. So that is the first of its kind. So now imagine when I talk about detailed itineraries, I'm thinking, what will a couple who are football fanatics do if they are coming to the US? Insert your particular city on this day and leaving on this day. These are the games that they are going to see. These are the things that they can do. Now, this itinerary would be very, very different from an itinerary which you make for a family of four with two kids, which in itself would be so different from a old couple who are just relaxing their life because they have spent close to 30, 40 years grinding it out. Look at the breadth of customer segments, customer markets which are there for you to serve, and create detailed as possible itineraries for them, publish them on your blog. And I'll have a separate video on the tactics that you can use to ensure you are able to market all these digital content, the digital products that you are building, which will ultimately be marketed and distributed, which should be resulting in more sales for your hotel. I'll create a separate video for that. But moving on to the fourth point, and this is a very wild idea I have. I don't think you need to adopt it, but if you do adopt it, there is a chance that you get a little more traction from digital visibility standpoint, is introducing language versions of your site. What I mean by that is you're having a website which is running on English and it has served the purpose for what it's supposed to do, providing information, acting as the top of the marketing funnel, generating leads and revenue for you, which is great because you've been serving a particular type of customer set who understands English. But during the FIFA World Cup 2026, people from all across the globe would be flying into your city, your state, your country, who may not be that conversant with English. Imagine people from Japan flying in. They'll be more comfortable reading a website and the accommodations page of a hotel in Japanese than trying to utilize Google Translate or figure out in broken English whatever they understand. And I'm not talking about every person coming from Japan will go through this problem, but there might be a certain percentage of people. And not only Japan, imagine Netherlands, Belgium. There are these countries who really value their local language. So you can easily find out from your Google Analytics, from your Google Trends, from the match data, like which are the kind of fans from which countries are they going to come to your locality, your city, and you can just implement a language version of the website. I think that's a good move you can do, and it can also be used as a PR strategy. That you've introduced language versions of the website to cater to the larger world who would be traveling to your city. So that's point number four. Point number five was tying up with local cab providers to ensure guests have a seamless experience from your property to the stadium to the other places that they can visit and then come back to your property for a good night's rest. And this obviously would be logical if you are a little far away from the stadium. If you're just a block away from the stadium, I don't think this is something which you need to worry about. You may have to think of other things which you would want to work upon. But this is a tip, especially for hotels which are a little away from the stadiums, which I know there would be a lot of properties like that. And just while doing my research, I figured out a way in which we can find out the approximate Uber cost if someone has to take from your property to the stadium. So provide a rough understanding of how that much cost can be, and have an all-inclusive package where the property bears all the costs, so that a set of guests, they go into a shared van or something, go to the stadium, enjoy the match, they come back. So those logistic details, you can figure it out. And if you really want a very detailed video on that, I'd love to, if required, I can go ahead and do that. The sixth point, which I feel it can be a very, this can be an evergreen sort of a content, which is guide to the city. Now you don't have to be writing these pages with the context of FIFA World Cup. Write the content on these pages with the context of showcasing that how one should enjoy the city that you are based out of, and do it for different consumer segments. Say, for example, do it for football fanatic people, romantic people, family of four, old couple, young graduates. So your guide to the city should be a Bible, like a Lonely Planet kind of a Bible, whoever is coming to your city. This should, I feel, get you a lot of visibility in AI search engines only if you are able to match the right sort of a PR with what you are creating. Like if you can actually create a great guide to the city for the different consumer segments, I feel it's a very good PR opportunity to ensure people know that this is the place to come if you are coming to the city for the first time. So again, I have weird ideas on these things. Like say for example, I'll not only limit myself as a hotelier to take the whole burden of creating the content for the guide to the city. I'd rather have a landing page which has links out to other content, other videos created by others who are actually giving very good projection perceptions of the city, why people should come to the city, and ultimately the guide to the city, how you can enjoy when you are coming to this particular city. Always remember, there are going to be 80% or maybe 70% of people who are, or I don't know the percentage, I'll have to figure that out from research, but there'll be a section of people who would be traveling to your city for the first time just during this event. Ensuring that you are putting up the best of the information for them so that they feel they've landed in the right place will be a great signal for these big tech algorithms who can pick it up as the place from where good information is coming out. So that's why it would be an evergreen content. So this 6 point that I shared was one of those evergreen content which can stay on your site for as long as you want. And the last thing which I wanted is, it's a very weird idea, but say for example, whenever someone comes to the FIFA World Cup, new city, if you can figure out a way in which when you take photographs of your guests or the guests have their own photographs taken, and before they check out, you can actually give them a small printed out version of. I'm looking this side because I'm trying to find the picture which I had been gifted by the property in Thailand. It's a small kind of a postcard photo frame, very small. Think of a photo frame like that, which you can give when people are checking out. This was again a tactical idea, a strategy which you can utilize to ensure your brand presence is remembered even long after the customer has checked out. So the moment we are able to create some news, some buzz in the market, online magazines, influencers, Instagram, basically the digital media will want to cover you, will want to talk about you, which is what ultimately you want to ensure that your visibility in LLM is enhancing. Again, if you really want to understand where you stand in LLM visibility, get in touch with me. I can hook you up with a GEO visibility dashboard, which can showcase the kind of, basically what's your digital footprint in terms of the sentiment you have for the audience and the customer that you're catering to. I can have a friend of mine, he's a product manager, and he's the main person who's behind this intelligence dashboard. So I can ask him absolutely to come over and give you a demo or ask me anything kind of a session. Let me know if you want something like that. I'll get in touch with him and figure the logistics out. But yeah, these were the 7 actionable steps that you need to do and that you can do to ensure that you have maximum occupancy during the FIFA World Cup 2026.